The morning sun was just breaking over Seoul when the alien ship landed in the middle of the United Nations building courtyard. Captain Lee Daewon was drinking his second cup of coffee when his phone started ringing with emergency calls. Within 30 minutes, he was standing face to face with beings from another world. Ambassador Veltar stood nearly 8 feet tall, but his thin frame made him look fragile. His skin was pale blue and his large eyes seemed to take in everything around him. 2 other aliens stood behind him, both shorter and wearing what looked like fancy uniforms covered in strange symbols. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Veltar said through a small device that translated his words. "We come from the Galactic Athletic Federation. We bring you a great honor." Dr. Park Minji had arrived just minutes after Daewon. She carried her medical scanner and was trying not to stare at the aliens. As Earth's top expert on human physical abilities, she had been called in to help with first contact protocols. "What kind of honor?" Daewon asked, keeping his voice calm and professional. The alien smiled, showing teeth that were perfectly straight but slightly too sharp. "Every 50 of your years, we hold the Champions of Worlds tournament. The greatest athletes from across the galaxy compete in tests of strength, speed, and endurance. We invite Earth to send representatives." Behind Veltar, the other aliens were setting up what looked like exercise equipment. Dr. Minji watched with growing interest as they assembled devices that seemed designed for physical testing. "We understand this may be overwhelming," Veltar continued. "Allow us to demonstrate what our champions can achieve. This will help you understand the level of competition." The first alien, who introduced himself as Zekron, stepped up to what looked like a weightlifting machine. The weights were made of some dark metal that seemed to bend light around it. Zekron was built like a bodybuilder, with muscles that bulged under his tight-fitting suit. "Zekron is a champion from the high-gravity world of Korthak," Veltar explained. "He will demonstrate our standard strength test." Zekron gripped the weights and lifted with obvious effort. His face turned darker blue and sweat appeared on his forehead. The weights rose slowly, and when he finally got them over his head, he held them for exactly 3 seconds before lowering them with shaking arms. "Impressive," Zekron gasped, breathing heavily. "Those weights equal twice my body mass. Only our greatest champions can achieve such feats." Dr. Minji pulled out her scanner and took readings. Her eyebrows went up as she looked at the results. She whispered to Daewon, "Those weights are about 60 kilograms. Any decent gym member could lift that." The second demonstration involved running. An alien named Swiftwind Kalatar stepped onto a treadmill-like device. She was tall and thin, with long legs that seemed built for speed. The machine started moving and she began to run. "Kalatar holds the galactic record for sustained high-speed movement," Veltar announced proudly. "She can maintain this pace for an entire standard hour." Kalatar was running at what looked like a fast jog to the humans watching. Her breathing was controlled, but Dr. Minji could see she was working hard to maintain the pace. After 5 minutes, Kalatar stepped off the machine, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "That was about 12 kilometers per hour," Dr. Minji whispered to Daewon. "My grandmother could walk faster than that." The third test was climbing. The aliens assembled a wall covered with handholds and obstacles. It looked challenging, with overhangs and sections that would require real skill to navigate. An alien that looked like a cross between a monkey and a lizard stepped forward. "Climtar is our vertical movement specialist," Veltar said. "This wall represents the ultimate test of climbing ability." Climtar began to move up the wall slowly and carefully. Every movement was planned and executed with great care. It took him nearly 20 minutes to reach the top, and when he did, he hung there breathing hard before carefully climbing back down. "Only 3 beings in galactic history have completed this climb without assistance," Veltar said with obvious pride. Dr. Minji looked at the wall again. It was maybe 15 meters high with handholds that seemed easy to reach. She had seen children climb harder routes at the local climbing gym. After the demonstrations, Veltar turned to the humans with a satisfied expression. "As you can see, the competition will be challenging. We understand if Earth chooses not to participate. Many worlds decline when they see what is required." Daewon looked at Dr. Minji, who was still staring at her scanner readings. "Could we have some time to consider your offer?" "Of course," Veltar said. "We will remain in orbit for 7 of your days. If you decide to compete, we will need to select your champions and begin basic training." After the aliens left, Daewon and Dr. Minji sat in the empty conference room. "What are you thinking?" he asked. Dr. Minji looked at her notes again. I'm thinking we need to call some people. The aliens seem nice, but I don't think they understand what humans are capable of. What do you mean? That strength test? I lift more than that during my morning workout. The running speed? That's slower than my cool-down pace. And the climbing wall? She shook her head. My 12-year-old nephew could climb that in 5 minutes. Daewon felt a strange feeling in his stomach. Are you saying... I'm saying we might want to warn them before we accidentally embarrass their champions. Dr. Minji stood up and gathered her equipment. Let me make some calls. I know some people who might be interested in representing Earth. That afternoon, Dr. Minji contacted several athletes she knew personally. Kim Jiwon was teaching rock climbing at a gym in Busan when she got the call. She was hanging upside down demonstrating an advanced climbing technique to her students when her phone rang. A galactic tournament? Jiwon asked, switching to a normal hanging position. That sounds fun. What kind of climbing do they do? Choi Hyunwoo was 40 kilometers into his daily 50-kilometer run when Dr. Minji reached him. He barely sounded out of breath as they talked. Space aliens want to race? He asked, maintaining his steady pace. Do they know about marathons? Because I was thinking of doing a triple marathon next weekend. Young Nari was in the middle of sparring practice when her coach handed her the phone. She had just finished throwing a 200-pound training partner across the mat and was barely breathing hard. They want to test human physical abilities? She asked, wiping sweat from her forehead. Should I go easy on them? I don't want to hurt anyone. By evening, Dr. Minji had assembled a team of 5 volunteers. None of them seemed particularly impressed by the alien demonstrations she described. Most asked if there would be bigger challenges available. I have a feeling, she told Daewon over dinner, that this tournament is going to be very educational. For the aliens. Daewon nodded, remembering the pride in Veltar's voice when he described their champion's achievements. Should we warn them? Dr. Minji thought about it. Let's see what happens during training first. Maybe we're wrong about human capabilities compared to aliens. Neither of them believed that for a second. High above Earth, Ambassador Veltar was reporting to the Galactic Athletic Federation. The humans seem interested but uncertain, he transmitted. This is normal for pre-spaceflight civilizations. Their physical development is probably quite limited. He had no idea how wrong he was about to be proven. 3 days later, the human team gathered at the temporary training facility the aliens had built outside Seoul. Dr. Park Minji introduced each team member to Ambassador Veltar and his assistants. Kim. Jiwon looked around the facility with interest. She was a small woman with strong hands and the kind of calm confidence that came from years of climbing mountains. This looks nice, she said to Dr. Minji. Where are the difficult parts? Choi Hyunwoo was stretching nearby, preparing for what he assumed would be a light training session. He was tall and lean, with the easy breathing of someone whose body was used to running long distances every day. Should I have eaten less lunch? He asked. I don't want to feel heavy during the tests. Yang Nari stood quietly observing the alien equipment. She was compact and muscular, moving with the controlled grace of someone trained in multiple fighting styles. Every few seconds she would shift her weight or adjust her stance as if her body couldn't stay completely still. Welcome, human champions, Veltar said through his translator. Today we begin your preparation for the tournament. We must assess your current abilities and begin training to bring you to competitive levels. The first test was in what the aliens called their enhanced gravity chamber. It was a room where they could increase the pull of gravity to make everything heavier. Veltar explained that this was one of their most challenging training environments. We will begin with a modest increase, Veltar announced. 15% above your world's normal gravity. This is what we use for advanced conditioning. Young Nari stepped into the chamber first. As soon as the gravity increased, she smiled. Oh, this feels nice. It's like wearing my weighted training vest. She began her normal warm-up routine, which included handstand push-ups, one-handed planches, and flowing movements that combined gymnastics with martial arts. To the aliens watching, it looked like an impossible display of strength and balance. Zekron, the alien strength champion, whispered urgently to Veltar. Sir, how is she moving like that? The enhanced gravity should make those movements impossible. Perhaps their assessment was incorrect, Veltar replied, but his voice sounded uncertain. Young Nari finished her routine and walked out of the chamber. That was a good warm-up. Do you have any heavier settings? I usually train at twice this weight. Dr. Minji was taking notes on her tablet, recording everything. She noticed that the alien medical team was scanning young Nari with obvious confusion. Their devices kept beeping as if something was wrong. Next came the endurance test. The aliens had set up what they called their ultimate distance challenge. It was a course that wound through different terrains and elevation changes, designed to push elite athletes to their absolute limits. This course is exactly 42 kilometers long, explained Swiftwind Kalatar, the alien running champion. It represents the maximum distance any athlete has ever completed in tournament conditions. Finishing this course is considered one of the greatest achievements in galactic athletics. Choi Hyunwoo looked at the course map and nodded. So it's a marathon. That's perfect for a warm-up. Should I run it fast or treat it like a recovery day? Kalatar stared at him. Warm-up? Sir, this distance would challenge our greatest endurance specialists. Oh. Choi Hyunwoo looked concerned. I don't want to show off. Maybe I should just jog it slowly? He started running at what he considered an easy pace. For the first 10 kilometers, Kalatar ran alongside him, trying to demonstrate proper pacing. But as they continued, she began breathing harder while Choi maintained casual conversation with Dr. Minji, who was following in a small vehicle. The weather is nice today, Choi said, not sounding winded at all. Do you think we could do a longer run tomorrow? This is making me want to do my usual weekend distance. Kalatar was now gasping for air. How far do you usually run on weekends? Usually around 100 kilometers. Sometimes more if the weather is good and I'm feeling energetic. Kalatar stopped running entirely and sat down hard on the ground. Her medical team rushed over with breathing equipment and recovery fluids. Choi Hyunwoo stopped and looked back with concern. Is she okay? Should I have run slower? Meanwhile, Kim Ji-won was examining the climbing wall that had impressed everyone during the demonstration 3 days earlier. The aliens had added more difficult sections and obstacles, making it even more challenging. This is your ultimate climbing test, Klimtar explained proudly. We have made it even more difficult since our demonstration. Only the very best can complete it. Kim Ji-won studied the wall for about 30 seconds, then started climbing. She moved smoothly and quickly, treating the handholds like old friends. What had taken Klimtar 20 minutes of careful planning, she completed in under 4 minutes. That was fun, she said when she reached the top. Do you have anything higher? Back home, I usually climb walls that are 10 times this height. Klimtar was sitting at the bottom of the wall with his head in his hands. 10 times? That would be impossible. No one could survive a fall from such a height. Oh, I don't usually fall, Kim Ji-won said cheerfully. But when I do, that's what ropes are for. Safety first, you know. As the day continued, the pattern became clear. Each test that the aliens considered extremely challenging was treated by the humans as basic exercise. Captain Lee Daewon and Dr. Minji watched the alien trainers becoming more confused and worried with each demonstration. Are we doing something wrong? Lee asked Veltar during a break. Your team seems upset. Veltar was reading reports from his medical scanners with growing alarm. Captain Lee, we need to discuss your species' physical capabilities. Our equipment is detecting readings that seem impossible. What kind of readings? Your team member Yang Nari appears to have bone density 3 times higher than any known species. Choi Hyunwoo's cardiovascular efficiency is beyond our measurement capabilities, and Kim Ji-won's muscle-to-weight ratio suggests she should not be able to support her own body weight. Yet she moves as if gravity has no effect on her. Dr. Minji joined the conversation. Ambassador, can I ask what kind of world you come from? Alteria is a beautiful world, Veltar said proudly. Perfect temperature, low gravity, stable weather. It is what your scientist would call an ideal planet for life. And the other champion athletes? What are their worlds like? All championship worlds are rated as optimal for life. High-gravity worlds, extreme temperature worlds, and unstable worlds cannot produce athletes capable of galactic competition. The physical stress would prevent proper development. Dr. Minji and Captain Lee exchanged glances. They were beginning to understand why the aliens seemed so shocked by human capabilities. That evening, more alien champions arrived from across the galaxy. Each one was the absolute best their species had ever produced. They had come to train alongside the humans and share techniques before the tournament. Commander Zephyral arrived from Korthak, a world with slightly higher gravity than most. He was considered the strongest being in galactic history. When he met the human team, he decided to demonstrate his abilities to inspire them. Strength comes from dedication and proper technique, he told them through his translator. Watch and learn. He approached the weightlifting station and began his routine. Every movement was perfect, every lift executed with years of training behind it. When he finished, he had lifted weights totaling 3 times his body weight. The effort left him exhausted but proud. That is the galactic record, he announced. It has stood for 27 standard years. Young Nari watched politely, then asked, "Should I try it now? I don't want to hurt myself on equipment I'm not used to." "Please be very careful," Zephrol said with concern. "Start with much lighter weights." Young Nari approached the machine and lifted the same weight Zephrol had used. She completed his entire routine twice, then added more weight and did it again. When she finished, she wasn't even breathing hard. "The balance feels different than my home gym," she said thoughtfully, "but it's good equipment. Thank you for showing me the technique." Zephrol stood motionless, staring at the weights. His translator made small beeping sounds as if it was malfunctioning. Dr. Minji made more notes on her tablet. Around her, alien champions were sitting in small groups talking in worried whispers. Several were holding their heads in their hands, I think, she said quietly to Captain Lee. "We might need to have a serious conversation with these people about where Earth is located in the galaxy." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I don't think they know what kind of world we come from." Dr. Park Minji spent the entire night researching galactic databases. What she found made her hands shake as she typed her report for Captain Lee Daewon. The next morning, she found him in the facility cafeteria, drinking coffee and watching the alien medical teams frantically scanning their equipment. 3 alien champions had been taken to their medical bay after trying to match human basic training exercises. "We have a problem," Dr. Minji said, setting her tablet down on the table. "Let me guess. More aliens hurt themselves trying to keep up? Worse, I accessed the Galactic Planetary Classification System last night." She pulled up a star map on her tablet. "Lee, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world." Captain Lee nearly choked on his coffee. "A what?" "According to their scale, Class 12 is the highest danger rating they have. It means a world so hostile that most galactic species would die within minutes of landing on it." She scrolled through the data. "Listen to this. Earth's gravity is 4 times higher than galactic average. Our atmospheric pressure would crush 70% of known species. Our temperature ranges exceed the survival limits of most civilizations. But we invited them here," Lee said, confused. "They're walking around fine because they're wearing environmental suits. Those uniforms aren't just clothing. They're life support systems." Dr. Minji pointed to where Veltar was talking with his medical team. "See those small devices on their belts? Those are gravity compensators. They're living in artificial low-gravity fields." Captain Lee stared at the aliens with new understanding. "So when our team was training yesterday, they were performing in Earth's natural environment. The aliens were watching through their protective equipment, seeing humans casually do things that would kill most galactic citizens instantly." Across the cafeteria, Kim Ji-won was chatting with Climtar about rock climbing back home. "The mountain I climbed last weekend was about 3,000 meters high," she was saying. "The air gets a bit thin up there, but the view is amazing." Climtar's translator was making small error sounds. 3,000 meters? In what kind of protective suit?" "Oh, I don't use suits. Just normal climbing gear. Sometimes I bring extra water if it's hot. But the atmospheric pressure at that altitude gets a little low, sure. You breathe harder for the first few minutes, then your body adjusts." Clemtar stood up suddenly and walked quickly toward the medical bay. Kim Ji-won watched him go with concern. "Did I say something wrong?" Dr. Minji continued reading from her research. "It gets worse, Lee. I looked up their tournament history. The ultimate challenges they're so proud of. They're designed around the absolute maximum capabilities of species from comfortable, stable worlds. Meaning? Meaning what they consider impossible athletic feats are actually just normal human activities." Captain Lee rubbed his forehead. "How normal? Remember that weightlifting demonstration? The one their strongest champion was so proud of? My teenage niece lifts more than that in her high school fitness class." At that moment, young Nari walked past their table carrying a tray of food. On the tray were 6 full meal portions. "Young, are you feeling okay?" Dr. Minji asked. "Fine, thanks. I'm just really hungry after training. This is about half my normal breakfast." She sat down and began eating at a pace that made the nearby aliens stare. "Half?" Captain Lee asked weakly. Yeah, I usually need more calories on training days. Back home, I eat about 8,000 calories a day to maintain my weight. Commander Zephyral, who was sitting at a nearby table, dropped his eating utensil. 8,000? That is more than my entire species consumes in a week. Young Nari looked embarrassed. Oh, should I eat less? I don't want to take food from anyone. Dr. Minji's tablet beeped with an incoming message. She read it and her face went pale. Lee, we're getting reports from around the world. News agencies are trying to figure out why aliens came to Earth. What are they finding? The same thing I found. According to every galactic database, Earth shouldn't have intelligent life. It's listed as too dangerous for colonization, too hostile for research stations, too deadly for anything except automated mining operations. Captain Lee looked around the facility. Alien champions were sitting in small groups talking in low, worried voices. Some were reading data tablets with expressions of growing horror. Others were watching the human team with what looked like fear. They never expected us to actually compete, did they? Lee, I don't think they expected us to be able to survive their invitation ceremony. Ambassador Veltar approached their table, his large eyes showing distress. Captain Lee, Dr. Minji, we need to discuss the tournament. What about it? Our medical teams have been analyzing your team's performance. The readings we're getting. They're not possible. Dr. Minji gestured to an empty chair. Sit down, Ambassador. We need to talk. Veltar sat carefully, his gravity compensator humming slightly. Our best scientists cannot explain how your species evolved on such a hostile world. Your bone density, muscle efficiency, cardiovascular capacity, these things should not exist in nature. What exactly did you think Earth was like? Captain Lee asked. We assumed it was a standard Class 2 world. Perhaps Class 3 at most. Moderate gravity, stable climate, gentle evolution. Veltar's hands were shaking slightly. But your world... Captain, your world is rated as more dangerous than our military training planets. Across the facility, Choi Hyunwoo was jogging in place while talking to Swiftwind Kalatar. Do you want to run together today? He asked cheerfully. I was thinking of doing a light 60 kilometers. Kalatar stared at him. 60 kilometers is more than most of our marathon champions complete in their entire careers. Really? How far do you usually run? On a good day? Perhaps 5 kilometers. 10 kilometers would require medical supervision. Choi Hyunwoo looked genuinely confused. But how do you stay in shape? Dr. Minji turned back to Veltar. Ambassador, what would happen if one of your champions tried to train on Earth without protective equipment? They would die, Veltar said simply. The gravity would crush their bones within minutes. The atmospheric pressure would rupture their organs. The temperature variations would cause immediate system failure. And our team has been training in these conditions their entire lives. Yes. Veltar's voice was barely a whisper. We are beginning to understand what this means. Captain Lee leaned forward. What does it mean for the tournament? Captain, our greatest champions are requesting medical leave rather than compete against your team. They say it would be like asking them to race against natural disasters. Kim Ji-won walked over to their table, having finished her conversation with Klimtar. Dr. Minji, is everything okay? Some of the aliens seem upset. They're just learning about Earth, Dr. Minji said carefully. Oh, that's nice. I was telling Klambatar about the mountain climbing we do back home. He seemed really interested, but then he had to go lie down. Veltar looked at Kim Ji-won with something approaching terror. Miss Kim, what is the highest mountain on your world? Mount Everest is about 8,800 meters high. I haven't climbed it yet, but it's on my list for next year. 8,800 meters, Veltar repeated faintly. At that altitude on our worlds, the atmosphere would be too thin to support life. Oh, it is pretty thin up there. You need some conditioning and proper gear. But thousands of people climb it every year. Thousands? Well, hundreds at least. It's become pretty popular. Veltar turned to his translator and spoke rapidly in his own language. The device beeped several times before responding. Finally, he looked back at the humans. Captain Lee, Dr. Minji, we must contact the Galactic Athletic Federation immediately. This tournament may need to be reconsidered. Why? Captain Lee asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. Because, Veltar said slowly, we are not sure our equipment can create challenges difficult enough to test your species' abilities. Our ultimate tests appear to be what you consider recreational activities. Dr. Minji looked around the facility again. Alien champions were packing their equipment and leaving. Others were sitting in groups, reading about Earth's environmental conditions with expressions of disbelief. "Ambassador," she said gently, "I think this tournament is going to be very educational. For everyone." Veltar nodded weakly. "I fear you are correct, and I fear we are not prepared for the kind of education we are about to receive." The Champions of Worlds tournament opened with the largest galactic audience in recorded history. Beings from across the galaxy tuned in, not to see who would win, but to witness what creatures from a death world considered athletic competition. The tournament station was a massive structure built in space, designed to accommodate different atmospheric and gravity requirements for various species. For the first time in tournament history, an entire section had been modified to Earth normal conditions. Captain Lee Daewin stood with the human team in their preparation area, watching alien athletes through the viewing windows. Many looked terrified. Others appeared to be in some kind of meditation or prayer. "Are they okay?" Kim Ji-won asked, observing a group of Alterian speed specialists who seemed to be shaking. "They're preparing mentally," Dr. Park Minji explained. "From their perspective, they're about to compete against beings who shouldn't be able to exist." Ambassador Veltar approached the human team, wearing a more advanced environmental suit than before. His gravity compensator was larger, and he carried additional medical monitoring equipment. "The Federation has decided to proceed with the tournament," he announced. "However, we have made some modifications to ensure safety." "What kind of modifications?" Yang Nari asked, stretching in preparation for the first event. "We have created separate categories, traditional galactic competition and Death World demonstration events," Captain Lee frowned. "Demonstration events?" The other species voted that direct competition would be psychologically harmful to their athletes. "Instead, your team will demonstrate human capabilities while our champions perform their traditional events." Through the speakers, the tournament announcer's voice echoed across the station. The translator made his words available in hundreds of languages. "Welcome, beings of the galaxy, to the most extraordinary Champions of Worlds tournament in history. Today, for the first time, we witness athletes from a Class 12 death world." In the main arena, screens showed images of Earth, volcanoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, predatory animals, and extreme weather conditions. The alien audience made sounds of distress at each image. "The planet Earth," the announcer continued, "where temperatures range from -40 to +50 degrees, where the gravity exceeds galactic safety standards, and where the native life forms have evolved capabilities beyond our previous understanding of biological possibility." The first event was strength competition. Commander Zephrol, the galactic record holder, entered the arena to polite applause. He approached the traditional lifting apparatus with the careful movements of someone who had trained his entire life for this moment. "Commander Zephrol will attempt to break his own galactic record," the announcer explained. "A lift of 3 times his body weight, considered the absolute peak of biological capability." Zephrol prepared carefully, focusing his mind and body. When he lifted, every muscle strained with maximum effort. The weights rose slowly, held for the required 3 seconds, then lowered with perfect control. The crowd cheered as the record was officially matched. "And now," the announcer's voice changed tone, "Yang Nari of Earth will demonstrate Death World's strength capabilities." Yang Nari entered the arena wearing simple workout clothes. She looked small compared to the massive alien strength equipment, but she approached it with casual confidence. "I'll start with a warm-up," she said to the monitoring alien officials. She loaded the apparatus with the same weights Zephrol had used, then lifted them overhead with one hand while waving to the crowd with the other. The arena fell completely silent. "That was nice," Yang Nari said, adding more weight. "Let me try something closer to my normal training load." She loaded weights equivalent to 5 times her body weight and lifted them smoothly. Then 6 times, then 7. She continued adding weight until the apparatus reached its maximum capacity, then lifted that while performing a one-handed handstand. "Is this good?" she asked the officials who were staring at their measurement devices in disbelief. In the audience, several alien strength specialists had to be taken to medical facilities. The second event was endurance running. Swiftwind Kalatar took the track, representing the pinnacle of galactic speed and stamina. She ran the traditional course, 42 kilometers of varied terrain and obstacles in what was considered excellent time for her species. When she finished, she collapsed at the finish line, her medical team rushing to provide recovery assistance. The crowd cheered her tremendous effort. Choi Hyun-woo of Earth will now demonstrate Deathworld endurance, the announcer said, his voice now carrying a note of uncertainty. Choi Hyun-woo jogged onto the track, bouncing lightly on his feet. This looks like a nice course, he said to the officials. Should I run it once or do a few laps? Once is the traditional distance, an official replied weakly. Choi Hyun-woo started running at what he considered a comfortable pace. He completed the 42-kilometer course in half the time it had taken Kalatar, while maintaining casual conversation with the camera drones following him. The weather control on this station is really good, he commented as he ran. Back home I prefer running in rain or snow for the extra challenge, but this is nice too. When he crossed the finish line, he wasn't breathing hard. That was a good warm-up. Do you have a longer course? Maybe something around 100 kilometers? The track official stared at him. Sir, you just completed the ultimate endurance challenge. This was the challenge. I thought this was the warm-up track. In the observation areas, alien endurance athletes were being counseled by medical staff. Several had requested immediate transport home. The climbing event featured the arena's pride, a wall designed by the galaxy's best engineers to represent the absolute limit of climbing difficulty. Climtar demonstrated the proper technique, carefully working his way up the surface over 30 minutes of intense effort. Kim Ji-won studied the wall for about 15 seconds, then began climbing. She moved up the surface like she was walking on flat ground, reaching the top in under 3 minutes. This is fun, she called down to the officials. Do you have anything higher? Back home, I usually climb walls that are 10 or 15 times this height. Miss Kim, an official called up through his translator. That wall is considered mathematically impossible to climb without mechanical assistance. Really? It seems pretty easy. Good handholds, lots of grip space. Want me to show you some harder techniques? She proceeded to climb the wall in various ways, backwards, blindfolded, and finally while carrying one of the smaller alien officials who had volunteered to experience Deathworld climbing methods. The survival challenge was the tournament's ultimate test, a simulated hostile environment that had defeated even the most adaptable species. It included extreme temperatures, low oxygen, difficult terrain, and limited resources. The human team entered the challenge zone together, treating it like a casual camping trip. Captain Lee set up what appeared to be a barbecue using materials they found in the environment. Dr. Minji collected samples while walking through areas marked as lethal for other species. The athletes used the survival obstacles as playground equipment. This is nice, Kim Ji-won said, hanging upside down from what was supposed to be an impossible-to-navigate barrier. It reminds me of the hiking trails back home. The temperature variations are pretty mild, Yang Nari added, doing exercises in what the challenge designers had labeled the extreme heat zone. Good oxygen levels, too, Choi Hyun-woo noted, jogging through the suffocation sector without any breathing equipment. When they emerged from the challenge zone, they had not only survived every hazard, but had actually improved the environment. They had built better shelters, created more efficient water sources, and established what looked like a small recreational area. That was refreshing, Dr. Minji said, carrying samples of plants she had cultivated in the supposedly sterile environment. We should do this more often. The alien challenge designers sat in stunned silence, watching humans treat their ultimate test as a relaxing vacation. In the broadcast centers, commentators struggled to describe what they were witnessing. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, one announcer finally said, we are not watching athletic competition. We are witnessing the casual recreational activities of a species that has evolved beyond our understanding of biological limits. Ambassador Veltar found Captain Lee after the day's events concluded. Captain, we need to discuss the remaining tournament schedule. What about it? The other species have voted. They want to cancel the remaining competitive events. Why? Because, Veltar said quietly, what your team calls warming up is destroying our champions' will to compete. We have athletes requesting therapy, others asking to retire, and several species are questioning whether they should continue athletic programs at all. Captain Lee looked around the tournament facility. Human team members were chatting casually with each other, planning what they would do if they had free time tomorrow. They seemed completely unaware that they had just redefined what the galaxy considered possible. What do you want us to do? Would your team be willing to simply demonstrate more activities tomorrow? Show us what else humans consider normal exercise? Captain Lee nodded. I'm sure they'd be happy to. 6 months after the tournament, Dr. Park Minji sat in her new office at the Galactic Athletic Federation headquarters. Through her window, she could see alien research teams studying videos of human children playing on playground equipment. The researchers took detailed notes on every movement, treating kindergarten recess like advanced physics experiments. Her assistant, a nervous Alterian named Keptar, knocked on her door. Dr. Minji, the Korthak delegation is here for their consultation. Commander Zephyral entered with a team of his planet's strongest warriors. They all wore advanced gravity suits and moved carefully, like people recovering from serious injuries. Dr. Minji, Zephyral said through his translator, we have studied the training videos you provided. We must ask, are those truly human children? Which videos specifically? The ones labeled elementary school physical education. Our scientists cannot believe that young humans perform activities that would challenge our greatest champions. Dr. Minji pulled up the videos on her screen. They showed 8-year-old children climbing rope ladders, doing pull-ups, and running obstacle courses. These are normal children, yes. This is basic physical education for kids aged 7 to 10. Zephyral sat down heavily. On Korthak, what you call elementary rope climbing would be classified as extreme athletic achievement. The pull-ups those children perform would set records on 47 worlds. Would you like to see the high school athletics videos? No, Zephyral said quickly. Our medical team said viewing those might cause psychological damage. Across the galaxy, the tournament's broadcast had changed everything. Alien civilizations were reconsidering their understanding of physical possibility. Sports programs were being restructured. Military training was being revolutionized. On the pleasure world of Relaxia, the government had hired human consultants to develop their first-ever fitness program. Citizens who had never exercised beyond gentle walking were learning to lift weights and climb stairs. The humans showed us that bodies can do more than we imagined, explained Prime Minister Softling in a recent interview. We want to explore our own potential. Captain Lee Daewon had been promoted to Director of Human Galactic Athletic Relations. His job was to help other species develop training programs that wouldn't injure them while trying to approach human capabilities. The key, he explained to a conference of alien coaches, is to start very slowly. What we consider light exercise can seriously hurt species that evolved on easier worlds. In the audience, coaches took careful notes on concepts like gradual, conditioning, and progressive overload. Ideas that human trainers considered basic were revolutionary to beings whose species had never needed to develop beyond minimal physical capabilities. Kim Ji-won had become the galaxy's most famous climbing instructor. Her online videos teaching basic rock climbing techniques were watched by billions of beings across known space. Most alien viewers couldn't perform the techniques she demonstrated, but they studied her movements like ancient texts. Remember, she said in her latest video, safety is always first. Use proper equipment, climb with partners, and never attempt anything beyond your species' biological limits. Her idea of basic safety included climbing techniques that alien mountain rescue teams used as their most advanced procedures. Choi Hyun-woo was running marathons on different worlds, always accompanied by medical teams and research scientists. His easy training runs had become galactic events, broadcast live to audiences who watched in amazement as he maintained conversation while running distances that would challenge their fastest vehicles. The gravity on this world is interesting, he commented during a run on Veltar's homeworld. It's so light that I feel like I'm floating. I might be able to run for days here. Behind him, a convoy of alien medical vehicles followed at maximum speed, their crews taking readings and trying to understand how his body functioned. Young Nari was working with galactic military organizations, helping them develop new training standards. Her demonstration of basic self-defense techniques had revolutionized their understanding of combat capability. This is a simple wrist lock, she explained to a class of alien military instructors. Very gentle, suitable for controlling without injury. The technique she demonstrated was classified as a weapons-grade combat skill on most worlds. Several alien instructors requested immediate medical evaluation after attempting to perform it. Dr. Minji's research had become the foundation for a new field of science, Deathworld biology. Universities across the galaxy offered courses studying how life could evolve such extreme capabilities. The key insight, she explained in a lecture broadcast to thousands of alien scientists. Is that harsh environments? Don't prevent evolution. They accelerate it in directions we never imagined possible. Her students included beings who had spent their entire careers studying theoretical limits of biological performance, only to discover that humans exceeded those limits during casual daily activities. Ambassador Veltar had been appointed as the first director of Deathworld affairs. His job was to help the galaxy understand and interact safely with species from extreme environments. We have identified 17 other worlds that might produce similar capabilities, he announced at a recent Galactic Council meeting. We are developing protocols for contact that will protect both them and us. The protocols included extensive psychological preparation for alien contact teams who needed counseling to cope with meeting beings whose casual abilities exceeded their understanding of physical possibility. The tournament facility had been converted into a research center where alien scientists studied human exercise equipment. Simple devices like treadmills and weight machines were examined like alien technology. This device is designed for beings to voluntarily increase resistance while moving, noted Dr. Seklon, a leading exercise physiologist. The implications are staggering. They seek out difficulty rather than avoiding it. Back on Earth, the human team had returned to their normal lives, mostly unaware of the galactic revolution they had started. Kim Ji-won was teaching climbing to children at her local gym. Choi Hyun-woo was training for his next ultramarathon. Yang Nari was coaching martial arts students. How was space? Her students asked. It was fun, Yang Nari replied. The aliens were really nice, but their equipment was kind of light. I hope they get better training facilities soon. She had no idea that alien engineers were working around the clock to design equipment that might actually challenge a human, using technologies that pushed the limits of their most advanced materials science. The children she taught continued their normal training, unaware that alien researchers were studying videos of their practice sessions to understand how young humans could casually perform movements that galactic champions found impossible. Dr. Minji received daily requests from alien governments, asking for advice on everything from urban planning to emergency response, as they realized that human capabilities could revolutionize how they thought about solving problems. The humans built shelters in our survival challenge zone using only materials they found there, reported the tournament facility engineers. The shelters are more comfortable and efficient than our permanent research stations. They improved our obstacle course while completing it, added the athletics committee. The modifications they made allow for better performance and safety, Captain. Lee found himself mediating disputes between alien sports organizations who couldn't agree on how to modify their competitions to account for human participation. Perhaps, he suggested diplomatically, we could have separate categories, traditional galactic competition and human demonstration events. But then our champions feel inadequate, complained the Altarian athletics minister. Their life's achievements are rendered meaningless by what humans call light exercise. Maybe, Captain Lee said carefully, this is an opportunity for everyone to explore new possibilities. As the first anniversary of the tournament approached, the galactic community was planning a celebration unlike any other, not a competition, but a festival of appreciation for the humans who had accidentally shown an entire galaxy that the word impossible might need to be redefined. Kim Ji-won was invited as the guest of honor, though she still didn't understand why everyone made such a big deal about basic climbing. I just hope they have some good mountains to climb, she told Dr. Minji. The space station was nice, but I'm looking forward to some real challenges, Dr. Minji smiled, knowing that Kim's idea of real challenges would probably require the aliens to invent entirely new safety protocols. The invitation to the anniversary celebration included a note that perfectly captured how the galaxy now viewed humanity. Come as you are, do what feels comfortable, and help us continue learning what possible really means. For humans, it was just another friendly sporting event. For the rest of the galaxy, it was an ongoing education in the extraordinary nature of the ordinary, and a reminder that sometimes the most amazing discoveries come from simply watching someone else do what they consider easy.